Empty seats. Row 23, seats 5 through 9, reserved for the Carter family, remained stubbornly vacant as graduates filed into Stanford University's auditorium. I clutched my phone, checking one last time for messages. Nothing. They're probably just running late, my roommate Mia whispered, squeezing my hand. Traffic from San Francisco can be brutal. I nodded, but we both knew the truth. My sister Diana's housewarming party had started an hour ago, celebrating her new $5 million mansion in Pacific Heights. My family had made their choice. As valedictorian of Stanford's business school, I would give the closing speech in front of thousands. I'd worked years for this moment, maintaining a perfect GPA while working 2 jobs to cover expenses my family refused to help with. Emma Carter. I rose on shaky legs as my name echoed through the auditorium. The dean smiled warmly as he handed me my diploma, then gestured toward the podium. This was my moment. Looking out at the sea of faces, I spotted Mia's family in the front row, beaming with pride. They'd arrived 3 hours early to get the best seats. Next to them sat James, my thesis advisor who'd become a mentor and friend, his camera ready. But the seats meant for my parents, my sister, and my grandparents remained empty. Distinguished faculty, honored guests, fellow graduates, my voice carried clear and strong across the hushed auditorium. The speech I practiced 100 times flowed effortlessly. Words about perseverance, ambition, and the courage to forge your own path. If only my family could hear the irony. My phone finally buzzed as I left the stage. A text from Diana. OMGM, totally forgot your thing was today. Having the most amazing party. You should see this house. Maybe stop by later if you're not too busy. XOXO. Forgot. Like my graduation was a dental cleaning or a hair appointment. Don't, Mia warned, seeing my expression. Don't let them ruin this day. But they already had. Just like they'd ruined so many other moments. When I got into Stanford on a partial scholarship, Diana announced her engagement at my acceptance dinner. When I made Dean's List my first semester, my parents were too busy helping Diana plan her wedding to notice. My achievements were always overshadowed by Diana's life events, each one requiring absolute family devotion. Miss Carter. I turned to find Marcus Chen, one of the guest speakers from Goldman Sachs, approaching with an extended hand. Exceptional speech, he said warmly. Your analysis of emerging market trends was particularly insightful. Do you have plans after graduation? Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again. A photo from my mother, Diana posing in front of her new marble fountain, champagne in hand. Your sister's done so well for herself. Wish you could be here. I turned off my phone. Actually, Mr. Chen, I have some ideas I'd love to discuss. That conversation changed everything. 2 hours later, I sat in a small cafe near campus with Marcus Chen and his colleague Sarah Wu from Chen Capital Partners, one of Silicon Valley's most prestigious investment firms. Your thesis on predictive investment algorithms is revolutionary, Sarah said, sliding a business card across the table. We'd like to offer you a position on our quantitative analysis team. The salary they mentioned made my head spin. More money than my parents had ever offered to help with. When can you start? Marcus asked. I thought about my empty graduation seats, about Diana's mansion and my parents' pride. Tomorrow. The next 3 years passed in a blur of 60-hour weeks, complex algorithms, and rising success. My investment strategies consistently outperformed the market, earning millions for the firm's clients. Marcus became more than a boss. He became the mentor my father never was. I lived simply despite my growing wealth, renting a modest apartment and investing most of my earnings. Diana, meanwhile, regularly posted photos of her luxurious lifestyle, funded by our parents' generosity and her husband's family money. Then came the idea that would change everything. The system is broken, I told Marcus one late night at the office, spreadsheets glowing on multiple screens. Traditional investment firms cater to the already wealthy, while small businesses struggle to find capital. He leaned back in his chair, intrigued. Go on. What if we created a fund specifically for overlooked opportunities? Small companies with solid fundamentals but no connections. Female and minority founders who can't get meetings with major VCs. We could use my algorithms to identify hidden potential. Marcus studied me for a long moment. You're talking about hundreds of millions in capital. The big firms would fight us. Let them. I pulled up a presentation I'd been working on for months. I call it Phoenix Fund, because we'll help others rise from the ashes of rejection. 2 weeks later, I sat before Chen Capital's investment board, pitching my vision. By the end of the day, I had initial funding of $200 million and complete autonomy to run the fund my way. The catch, my involvement would remain anonymous. To the public, Phoenix Fund would appear to be run by a consortium of investors. My algorithms would work in the background, while others became the public face. Perfect. I resigned from my position at Chen Capital and set up a small office in an unremarkable building south of Market Street. To my family, I simply said I was exploring new opportunities. Oh honey, my mother sighed during one of our rare phone calls. You should talk to Diana's husband about job openings at his firm. No need to struggle on your own. I hung up without responding. Phoenix Fund's first year exceeded all expectations. My algorithms identified dozens of promising companies that traditional firms had overlooked. We invested in a female-founded biotech startup that developed a breakthrough cancer treatment. We backed a sustainable energy company run by immigrant engineers that revolutionized solar storage. By the end of year 2, Phoenix Fund had grown to $1.2 billion. My personal net worth, hidden behind layers of shell companies and trusts, approached 9 figures. Not that my family knew. To them, I was still the disappointing daughter who'd chosen the wrong path. Diana's social media showcased an endless parade of luxury. Vacations in the Maldives, new cars, charity galas where she posed with San Francisco's elite. Our parents shared every post, bursting with pride at her success. Then the market crashed. I was reviewing potential investments when Sarah called with the news. Hamilton & Brooks is on the verge of collapse, she said without preamble. Their tech investments went belly up. They're seeking emergency funding to avoid bankruptcy. I sat up straighter. Hamilton & Brooks wasn't just any investment firm. It was where Diana's husband worked as CFO. The same firm my father had invested most of his retirement in, convinced by his son-in-law's promises of guaranteed returns. How bad? I asked, already pulling up their financials. They need $500 million by end of week or they're done. Your father's investment would be wiped out. Diana's husband might face criminal charges for misrepresentation of risk. I leaned back in my chair, thoughts racing. Who's handling the potential rescue? That's the thing. Sarah paused. Phoenix Fund is the only one with enough liquid capital and risk tolerance to step in. They've scheduled a meeting with our public representatives tomorrow. I smiled, thinking of all the family dinners I'd been excluded from, all the achievements they'd ignored. Schedule it for 10 a.m., I said. And Sarah, make sure my family's there. All of them. Every last one. I opened my laptop, beginning to type. It's time for the Carters to meet Phoenix Fund's real owner. The conference room at Phoenix Fund's real headquarters, not the decoy office south of Market, gleamed with understated power. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered panoramic views of San Francisco Bay, while a single massive painting dominated the wall. A phoenix rising from ashes, done in shades of gold and crimson. I watched through one-way glass as my family was escorted in. My father, his face ashen, gripping his briefcase like a lifeline. My mother, her designer outfit somehow less pristine than usual. Diana and her husband James, both looking like they hadn't slept in days. They're all here, Sarah announced quietly, along with Hamilton & Brooks' executive team. I nodded, adjusting my blazer. Let them wait a few minutes. How's our timing? Market opens in 45 minutes. If we're going to stop the freefall in Hamilton & Brooks stock, we need to make an announcement before then. I checked my reflection one last time. Gone was the overlooked daughter in handed-down clothes. Today I wore power. A tailored black suit, subtle jewelry, and an air of absolute control. Ready? Sarah smiled. Born ready. Give them hell, boss. I entered through the side door, my heels clicking against marble floors. The room fell silent. Good morning, I said calmly, taking my place at the head of the table. I'm Emma Carter, founder and CEO of Phoenix Fund. The color drained from Diana's face. James' mouth opened and closed wordlessly. My father gripped the edge of the table. This is impossible, he finally managed. Emma? My mother's voice quavered. You work here? Not exactly. I opened my laptop, connecting it to the room's display system. I own Phoenix Fund. All of it. Financial statements appeared on the screens lining the walls. Phoenix Funds Holdings, its growth trajectory, its current valuation of $2.8 billion. As you're aware, Hamilton & Brooks requires immediate capital infusion of $500 million to avoid bankruptcy. I kept my voice professional, as if this were any other meeting. We've reviewed your financials. The situation is actually worse than you've disclosed. James started to protest, but I held up a hand. Your tech portfolio isn't just underperforming, it's toxic. You've hidden losses, misrepresented risks, and potentially violated SEC regulations. I let that sink in. By our calculations, you need closer to $800 million to survive. No one has that kind of liquid capital available, James said desperately. Not on this timeline. Phoenix Fund does. I pulled up another document. We're prepared to offer a rescue package. However, our terms are non-negotiable. Diana leaned forward. Emma, please. You have to help us. We're family. Family? I smiled without warmth. Like when you were all too busy with your housewarming party to attend my graduation. The one where I was valedictorian? Silence fell. My mother looked down at her hands. These are our terms. I nodded to Sarah, who began distributing documents. Phoenix Fund will inject $800 million in exchange for a controlling interest in Hamilton & Brooks. James will resign as CFO, effective immediately, and will conduct a full audit of all client accounts. You can't do this, James protested. Actually, I can. In fact, I checked my watch. In 20 minutes, I'm the only one who can save your company from complete collapse. My father cleared his throat. Emma, be reasonable. We can discuss this as a family. This isn't a family matter, I cut him off. This is business. Something you taught me, remember? When you refused to help with my college expenses because it would build character. I stood up, walking to the window. Below, early morning fog was lifting from the bay, revealing the city in all its glory. You have 15 minutes to decide. After that, I release a statement declining to invest, and Hamilton & Brooks faces bankruptcy. Your choice. Diana burst into tears. Daddy, do something. But we all knew there was nothing he could do. The mighty Carters, who had dismissed me for years, were at my mercy. James signed first, his signature shaky, then the other executives. My father was last, his pen hovering over the paper. When? He asked quietly. When did you become this? While you were all busy at Diana's parties, I replied. While you were posting about her perfect life and forgetting I existed, I was building something bigger than all of you. The documents were signed with 2 minutes to spare. Sarah immediately left to issue the press release, and Hamilton & Brooks stock stabilized when the market opened. As the shell-shocked executives filed out, Diana lingered. Why didn't you tell us, she asked, about your success? Would it have mattered? Would you have suddenly become a supportive sister? Would Mom and Dad have finally been proud of me? She had no answer. The audit starts tomorrow, I continued. I suggest you and James get your affairs in order. Later that evening, I sat in my real office, the penthouse suite I'd kept secret all these years. Messages from my family filled my phone. Mom, please, let's talk about this. We can fix things. Dad, I underestimated you. I'm sorry. Diana, you've destroyed my life. I hope you're happy. I deleted them all. Sarah appeared with 2 glasses of champagne. To the new majority owner of Hamilton & Brooks, she toasted, and to the look on their faces when they realized who you were. I smiled, but it was bittersweet. You know what the worst part is? Even now, they don't understand. They think this was about revenge. Wasn't it? No. I walked to the window, watching the sunset over the city. This was about proving that success doesn't come from family connections or fancy parties. It comes from hard work, from believing in yourself when no one else does. My phone buzzed again. A message from Marcus Chen. Just heard the news. Proud of you, kid. You've outgrown the mentor. That meant more than any family approval ever could. Over the next year, Phoenix Fund's audit of Hamilton & Brooks revealed the full extent of James' mismanagement. He faced criminal charges for fraud. Diana divorced him and moved back in with our parents, her perfect life shattered. I focused on expanding Phoenix Fund's mission, funding more overlooked entrepreneurs, more hidden gems that traditional investors ignored. Our success stories filled financial papers, though my identity remained hidden except to a select few. Then came an invitation. Stanford Business School wanted their most successful alumni to give the commencement speech. Standing at the podium a decade after my own graduation, I looked out at the sea of faces. This time, my family sat in the front row, not by choice, but because Phoenix Fund was the school's largest donor and appearances had to be maintained. Success, I began, isn't about who believes in you. It's about believing in yourself when no one else does. It's about empty seats becoming corner offices, about rejection becoming motivation. I met Diana